All right, today we're going to pull back the curtain on the world of Renaissance music. We're on the hunt for the hidden figures, the forgotten voices who really shaped its sound. When you think of a Renaissance composer or a star musician, what comes to mind? Probably a man, right? And hey, that's fair. The history we've all been taught has been overwhelmingly male. So that really begs the question, were women just not involved? Or is there a whole other story we haven't heard?
Well, the answer is pretty stark. Their invisibility, it wasn't an accident. It wasn't because they lacked talent. No, it was a feature, not a bug, of the era's social structure. The very way history was written down was basically designed to sideline them, and a lot of the time, to just erase their contributions completely. So to even understand where to find these women, first we've got to understand the walls that were built up all around them, the things that were meant to keep them silent. Think about these barriers. They created this kind of cultural cage. A woman's education in music was supposed to make her a charming, private ornament for the home, not a public creator. I mean, if she dared to perform in public, her entire reputation was on the line. And even if she wrote something absolutely brilliant, the legal system could just step in and say, nope, you don't get the credit for that.
But here's the thing, and this is what's so incredible. Despite all of that, women were everywhere in the musical world of the Renaissance. They just had to operate in very specific, approved spaces where they could actually use their talents and wield some power.
So, we're going to explore the three main worlds where you could find women's musical power flourishing. Inside the wealthy, influential, aristocratic courts, within the walls of convents, which were surprisingly rich musical centers, and on the revolutionary and pretty risky professional stage. Let's start at court, with one of the most powerful cultural figures of the entire Renaissance period. This is a woman who shaped music, not with a lute or a song, but with a pen and a letter. Let's talk about Isabella d'Este. So how do we know so much about her influence? Get this, she was a meticulous, obsessive record keeper. Over 28,000 of her letters survive today. And that's not just a big number, it's a treasure map. It shows us this vast network of cultural power that she managed entirely through her correspondence. And her letters show exactly how she worked. Isabella wasn't just a passive patron signing checks. Oh no, she was more like a producer or a director. She would handpick the poets, commission specific composers to set their poems to music, and in doing so, she basically guided the development of an entire musical genre, the frittola. Her patronage wasn't just about money, it was a deeply intellectual and creative act. Okay, so moving beyond the world of these powerful patrons, women were also stepping into the spotlight as performers, and some of them had just extraordinary skill. But the path they took was fundamentally different from the one available to men. And this right here is the crucial point. Look at the difference. A man's musical education was all about making him a master of the craft, a composer. He learned theory, counterpoint, all the building blocks. A woman's education, it was designed to make her an accomplished performer, to give her a social grace that could be admired. This one distinction shaped absolutely everything. And, nowhere was that graceful performance elevated to a higher, more breathtaking art form than with the Concerto delle Donne, the Consort of Ladies, at the court of Ferrara. Now, this wasn't some amateur singing group. This was an elite, professional squad of female singers whose skill became legendary all across Europe. I mean, their rise was meteoric. They were formed around 1580, and their private concerts, their musica secreta, created such a buzz that the greatest composers of the day started writing music just for them, pushing the limits of what was possible in vocal music just to keep up with their incredible technical abilities. So patronage was one kind of power. Performance was another. But to publish your own compositions as a woman in the 16th century, that wasn't just breaking a rule. That was a direct challenge to the entire system. Listen to these words. This is Maddalena Castellana, writing in the dedication of her first book of madrigals back in 1568. This is just astonishing. She isn't just publishing her music, she's publishing a manifesto. She's making an explicit, powerful statement that her work is proof that women share the exact same intellectual gifts as men. She's throwing down the gauntlet. Castellana's incredible act of defiance, it was like a crack in that wall of silence. And today, finally, scholars are starting to piece together the history that was ignored for so long.
What you're seeing here is basically the impact of the last 40 years of musicology. The old-school history books showed a world almost completely empty of female creators. But as modern scholars have intentionally gone looking for them, digging through convent archives, reading personal letters, a much richer and frankly more accurate picture has emerged.
And this brings us right to the heart of it. The most important takeaway. The talent was always there. The strategic genius of Isabella d'Este, the jaw-dropping virtuosity of the Concerto delle Donne, the compositional brilliance of Maddalena Casulana, all of it was real. The system that tried to suppress it, that was just ideology. It was never a true reflection of their abilities. So recovering these women's stories really makes you wonder, doesn't it? It proves that history isn't just about what happened. It's about who gets to tell the story. And it leaves all of us with a pretty vital question. What other powerful harmonies, what other incredible histories are still buried out there in the silence, just waiting for us to finally stop and listen?